What if I told you some of the fastest acting remedies on earth are not inside hospitals, not locked in pharmacies, not behind a prescription pad, but growing quietly in the wild, in ditches, in meadows, along fence lines, behind barns, between sidewalk cracks, plants that stopped bleeding on battlefields, plants that numbed pain in seconds, plants that cooled burns instantly, plants that carried entire civilizations through wounds, infections, and fevers, long before synthetic medicine existed. Most people walk past them every day. Most people call them weeds, but history tells a different story. Today, you're going to see 20 forgotten medicinal plants that heal you instantly. Not eventually, not over months. Instantly, ranked from impressive to absolutely incredible. Stay with me, because number 17 is now being studied for antibiotic-resistant bacteria. And number 20? It's the plant aspirin was built from. Let's begin. 1. Calendula, the battlefield healer. Calendula looks gentle. Bright orange, soft petals, almost decorative. But on medieval battlefields, it was survival medicine. When a soldier was cut open, when infection meant death, when there were no antibiotics, calendula flowers were crushed directly into wounds, not because they were pretty, because they worked, immediately. Calendula reduces inflammation fast. It soothes torn tissue. It supports skin regeneration. Modern clinical studies now confirm what ancient healers already knew. Calendula accelerates wound healing. It promotes tissue repair. It reduces swelling. The flowers are rich in flavonoids and triterpenoids. These are real anti-inflammatory compounds, real antimicrobial compounds, not folklore, not myth, biochemistry. You can infuse dried calendula petals into oil. Turn that oil into a salve. Apply it to minor burns, cuts, scrapes, irritated skin. And often, within hours, redness decreases. Discomfort fades. Healing visibly begins. Calendula didn't disappear because it stopped working. It disappeared because you can't patent a flower. It's the emergency room that's been blooming in gardens this entire time, waiting. 2. Plantain, the weed that stops pain. You've seen it. Low to the ground, oval leaves, thin flower stalk, growing in lawns, sidewalk cracks, gravel driveways. Most people rip it out, but plantain is one of the most reliable first aid plants on earth. Crush a fresh leaf. Apply it to a mosquito bite, a bee sting, a small cut. Within minutes, pain begins to soften, swelling starts to calm. That's not imagination. Plantain contains compounds that reduce inflammation. It also has antimicrobial activity, helping prevent infection before it starts. Indigenous cultures used plantain as trailside medicine. Settlers called it white man's footprint, because wherever people traveled, plantain followed. And so did its healing. Imagine hiking. You scrape your leg, no first aid kit. Plantain is under your feet. Crush, apply, relief begins. Modern studies confirm wound healing effects. Anti-inflammatory activity. Antimicrobial properties. This is not fringe herbalism, it's documented. Plantain didn't vanish because it failed. It vanished because it's common. And we've been trained to believe medicine must be rare and expensive. Plantain is immediate, free, and growing everywhere. 3. Yarrow, the bleeding stopper. Yarrow has a violent history. Its Latin name is Achillea, named after Achilles. Legend says he used it to treat wounded soldiers, because when someone is bleeding, time matters. Crush the leaves, press them directly into a cut. Yarrow helps slow bleeding quickly. It promotes clot formation. It also supports tissue repair. That combination is rare. Most substances either stop bleeding or help healing later. Yarrow does both. Its compounds encourage hemostasis. That means clotting. It also reduces inflammation around the wound, helping the body seal and repair faster. For centuries, soldiers carried dried yarrow in their packs because it worked. Today, it grows wild in fields and roadsides, unnoticed, but still powerful. If you've ever cut yourself outdoors and needed bleeding to stop fast, yarrow is one of nature's fastest responders. It's a battlefield medic, growing in open grass. 4. Toothache plant, instant numbing. This one surprises people. because the effect is dramatic. Chew the flower within seconds. Your mouth tingles, then it goes numb. Not slightly numb, noticeably numb. Toothache plant contains spilanthes, a compound with real anesthetic properties, used traditionally for tooth pain, mouth ulcers, gum irritation. The relief is immediate, not theoretical. Immediate. It doesn't fix a cavity, it doesn't replace dental care, but it buys you time. And sometimes that time matters. Imagine biting down wrong. Sharp pain, you chew the flower, the pain fades. First-time users are always shocked by how fast it works. This isn't subtle herbal tea relief. This is sensory, direct, fast. It's dental anesthetic. Growing in a flower pot. 5. Aloe Vera, the burn soother. Aloe is familiar, but underestimated. Snap the leaf, expose the gel, apply it directly to a minor burn, within seconds. Cooling, relief, soothing moisture. Aloe vera contains compounds that reduce inflammation, promote skin repair, support wound healing. It's one of the most studied medicinal plants in modern dermatology, clinically recognized for minor burns and skin irritation. The relief isn't delayed, you feel it immediately. That instant cooling sensation? That's the beginning of healing. For sunburn, kitchen burns, skin irritation, aloe works as fast as it feels. It's simple, accessible, effective, and it's been used for thousands of years. Sometimes the most obvious plant is the one we forget to respect. Cues. Mullein, the lung cleanser tall, fuzzy, almost prehistoric looking. Mullein grows in empty lots and along country roads. Most people ignore it, but for centuries, it was the first plant reached for when lungs were heavy, when coughing wouldn't stop, when thick mucus made breathing feel tight. Mullein doesn't suppress the cough, it helps your lungs clear it. Its natural saponins act as expectorants. They loosen mucus, make it easier to expel. That relief often begins the same day. Instead of silencing your body, mullein supports it. That's an important difference. Traditional healers dried the leaves, made a tea, strained it carefully, drank it warm for congestion, for bronchitis, for lingering chest colds. Modern reviews confirm anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial activity. Not hype, not folklore. Respiratory support that aligns with physiology. Mullein is quiet medicine, but powerful. It helps your lungs finish the job. 7. Comfrey, rapid tissue repair. Comfrey was called knit bone because people believed it helped broken bones mend faster. Today, we know why. Comfrey contains allantoin, a compound that stimulates cell proliferation. That means it encourages your cells to regenerate. Applied externally to bruises, sprains, muscle strains, Comfrey speeds visible recovery, reduces swelling, reduces discomfort. Clinical trials confirm topical Comfrey reduces pain in back injuries and ankle sprains. This isn't myth. It's documented. Important note: Comfrey is for external use only. Internally, it's not recommended. But applied correctly, it's one of the fastest tissue repair herbs in nature. It doesn't force healing, it accelerates it. 8. Self-heal, the plant that named itself. Its name is bold: self-heal, heal all. Ancient herbalists didn't choose names lightly. Self-heal was used for sore throats, minor wounds, inflamed tissue, crushed leaves applied directly to cuts, tea used as a gargle, calming irritation within hours. Modern research shows wound healing properties, anti-inflammatory activity, even disruption of bacterial biofilms. That's advanced antimicrobial behavior. Self-heal grows low to the ground, in lawns, in meadows. Purple flower spikes, unassuming, but effective. It earned its name. 9. White horehound, the clearing cough remedy. Before synthetic cough syrups, there was horehound. People even made horehound candy. Not because it tasted good, because it worked. Horehound doesn't suppress coughing. It makes coughs productive, helping the lungs clear infection faster. It contains compounds that stimulate bronchial secretions, helping break up congestion. That difference matters. Suppressing a cough traps mucus. Clearing it removes the problem. Healing versus masking. Horehound was once common pharmacy stock. Now it's mostly forgotten. But its mechanism still makes sense. And it still works. 10. Boneset, the fever sweater. Boneset has a dramatic reputation, used heavily during influenza outbreaks in the 1800s. People kept dried boneset in their homes. Because when fever hit, they needed support. Boneset encourages sweating, supports immune response, traditionally taken at the first sign of flu, deep body aches, chills, fatigue. It's intensely bitter. That bitterness was believed to activate the body. Modern clinical data is limited, but traditional use was widespread and consistent. When something survives that long in medicine, it deserves respect. Boneset isn't gentle, but it's powerful. 11. Blue vervain, the nervous system reset. Blue vervain was once called the herb of grace, not because it was dramatic, because it steadied people. For centuries, blue vervain was used for what healers described as overwrought nerves, tension, restlessness, tight shoulders, persistent headaches, the kind that come from mental overload. Before modern stress terminology existed, people understood something simple. The body can become wound too tight, and when that happens, healing slows. Blue vervain was brewed into teas for laborers exhausted from long days, for mothers overwhelmed by constant demand, for individuals stuck in cycles of worry. It wasn't sedation, it wasn't numbing, it was recalibration. Modern research now suggests mild anxiolytic effects. Compounds within blue vervain appear to gently influence the nervous system, helping reduce muscle tension, supporting relaxation. Not heavy, not overpowering, but noticeable. Imagine the difference between shutting down a system and gently turning the volume down. That's blue vervain. It doesn't sedate. It steadies. In a world saturated with stimulation, that might be more powerful than ever. 12. Elecampane, deep lung restoration. Elecampane was never the quick fix herb. It was the deep healer, used in traditional European medicine for chronic cough, lingering chest weakness, respiratory infections that wouldn't fully resolve. Healers believed elecampane strengthened the lungs themselves, not just symptoms. Its root contains compounds studied for antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory effects, particularly in respiratory tissues. Historically, it was candied, made into syrups, taken daily during recovery from serious illness. Elecampane was considered rebuilding medicine. When someone survived pneumonia, when someone recovered from a long winter illness, elecampane was given to restore vitality. It wasn't flashy, it was foundational. And sometimes the difference between relapse and recovery is not suppression, but strengthening. Elecampane represents that philosophy, deep restoration, not just symptom management. 13. Agrimony, the forgotten tightener. Agrimony is subtle. It doesn't shock like Toothache Plant. It doesn't numb like Spilanthes, but it works quickly in its own way. Agrimony contains tannins. Tannins tighten tissue. When inflamed mucous membranes feel raw and irritated, that tightening effect can bring noticeable relief. Historically, agrimony was gargled for sore throats, used for minor mouth inflammation, applied to small wounds. The tightening sensation reduces swelling, reduces irritation, supports faster recovery. In medieval Europe, agrimony was so respected, it was included in monastic medicine gardens. Not because it was dramatic, because it was dependable. In a sore throat scenario, when swallowing hurts, when tissue feels swollen, a tannin-rich gargle can shift comfort quickly. That's simple plant chemistry, still relevant, still effective. 14. Sea buckthorn, skin repair from within. Sea buckthorn berries are bright orange, almost glowing, and packed with something rare: omega-7 fatty acids. Most people know omega-3. Few have heard of omega-7. These fatty acids support mucous membranes, skin barrier repair, internal tissue integrity, historically used in Tibetan and Mongolian medicine, for burns, for wound healing, for digestive repair. Modern clinical studies now explore sea buckthorn oil for dry eye syndrome. atopic dermatitis. Inflamed skin conditions. This isn't surface-level hydration, it's structural support. When skin barrier function improves, inflammation decreases, healing accelerates. See buckthorn bridges ancient and modern medicine elegantly. It's one of those plants that feels rediscovered rather than reinvented. 15. Usnea, the forest antimicrobial. If you've walked through a forest and seen pale green strands hanging from branches, you've seen Usnea, often called old man's beard. It's technically a lichen, but medicinally powerful. For centuries, wilderness healers used Usnea on infected wounds because it inhibited bacterial growth. Modern laboratory studies confirm usnic acid has antimicrobial properties, including activity against certain resistant strains. Imagine being deep in the forest. No clinic, no pharmacy. A wound begins to look infected. Usnea was applied, poulticed, steeped, used as a natural antiseptic. It wasn't superstition. It was observation repeated over generations. In a time where antibiotic resistance is increasing, plants like Usnea are being reconsidered, not as replacements, but as allies. Nature's antiseptic, growing overhead. 16. Sassafras, a lesson in evolution. Sassafras was once one of the most popular medicinal trees in North America, used for fevers, digestive complaints, inflammation. Sassafras tea was common. Root beer was originally made from it. But then science evolved. Certain compounds were studied more deeply. Concerns were raised. Regulations changed. This matters because it shows something important. Traditional knowledge and modern science must cooperate, not compete. Sassafras reminds us that medicine evolves. That understanding deepens, that refinement happens. It is part of the story of plant medicine. Not an embarrassment, but a chapter. 17. Barberry, ancient meets antibiotic resistance. Barberry has been used for thousands of years. In Persian medicine, Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, its key compound, berberine. Today, berberine is one of the most researched plant alkaloids in the world. Studies explore its antimicrobial effects, its metabolic effects, even its potential impact on antibiotic-resistant bacteria. That is significant because resistance is one of modern medicine's largest challenges. Barberry wasn't discovered yesterday. It was trusted long before modern laboratories existed. And now those laboratories are rediscovering it. Ancient observation, modern validation, meeting in the middle. 18. Oregon grape, dermatology-level evidence. Oregon grape contains berberine too. But what makes it unique is dermatological research. Topical extracts have been studied for psoriasis, showing measurable improvement. Few medicinal plants reach that level of clinical evaluation. That matters because it bridges worlds. Herbal tradition, modern dermatology. It suggests something important. Some plants don't just kind of work. Some withstand scrutiny. Oregon grape is one of them. 19. Willow bark. The blueprint for aspirin, willow bark changed medicine forever because scientists isolated salicin from it and refined it into aspirin. But before laboratories, there was bark tea, used for headaches, joint pain, inflammation, fevers. Its relief can begin relatively quickly, reducing pain, reducing swelling. But here's the key insight. Modern pharmaceuticals often originate from plants. They don't appear from nowhere. They are refined, concentrated, modified. Willow bark is proof. The blueprint was already there. 20. Meadowsweet, the original aspirin. Meadowsweet contains natural salicylates, like willow, but in a balanced botanical matrix, historically used for pain, for fevers, for inflammation. It became the inspiration behind early aspirin formulations, and yet, traditional use suggested fewer stomach complaints compared to isolated aspirin. That balance matters, because plants are complex systems, not single molecules. Meadowsweet represents something larger. We didn't invent medicine, we studied it, extracted it, refined it. But the foundation was already growing in fields. These plants were never gone, they were simply overlooked. And sometimes, the original remedy still works, Fast, simple, powerful.